Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today, due to popular demand, I'm going to continue building the facade level all the way around my harbour area. Last time, still on the build desk, we did the first section of the sardine factory that went from about here to about here. Now I'm going to do the section that'll go from here all the way to the edge of this pier and indeed straddle it. And I'm just working out whether I need to remove this bottom section of pier to help with the build today, although that will mean moving all of the crane. Anyway, while I ponder that, I'll get on with doing the first of many amendments, which is actually adding more rubber ducks to our rubber ducky scene that are leaking from that container to make it even more prominent. Oh yes, that looks a lot better. A lot more visible from a distance, I think. I just discovered that there were more rubber ducks in a gift with purchase set that I hadn't yet sort of taken apart and put into the brick collection. So yeah, that's really good. And while we're up here, before we go to the building desk, yes, the aircraft is still attached to the ceiling. Okay, on to the rest of the amendments, and it's a bit hard to keep in shot all of this at one go, just because it's so tall, but here goes. So a few of your amendments include adding more barbed wire, just to make it even more obvious, and I really like that one, so I've just added two visibly onto the top. A similar one is adding a chain across two of the handles of a pair of doors, which I like very much, sort of visual and almost moving sort of textural piece. A similar one, which you can't really see, but you might see better across the white wall when it's behind this facade. It's just a 1x2 tile, kind of joining the same two studs, but on the back of it, maybe that will just look like it's a bar across the window there. So very subtle, only cost me a 1x2 tile, so I'm happy to give it a go. That looks really good as well. So added security, like it a lot. Thanks for those suggestions. Then one was on the sauce tank, which is sort of brown sauce on the actual sticker, which makes more sense when you think about some tin sardines or something like that. But then the sauce coming out of it is actually this lime green colour. So I don't know what's gone wrong there. Maybe it's got all festered or disgusting or something like that. But anyway, in the original set, there was a kind of tile disc firer, I suppose you'd call it, and they gave you two bits of ammunition. So I've just sort of stacked those in there on some plates just to mount them at that staggered perspective to make it look like it's leaking out, and added one by one right at the bottom there, so it looks like it's sort of spurted out at one point. So I think that is a good amendment as well. A lot of people suggested that, so thanks very much for that. And another one was changing the kind of profile of the bottom here, maybe adding some tyres. Oh, I've just pointed at something you can't see. But essentially, I thought it would be good to keep that, because I think what I'm going to be doing on this side, on the right, is making it 6 deep anyway, so that will be coming out level with the rest of this. So I just put in a couple of facet bricks just to change that angle from a real right angle that looked very sharp to a more gradual 45 degree, and I think that makes a lot of difference as well. So thank you very much for that encouragement as well. So those are all the ones I'm doing on the sort of basic ones. Some people wanted me to put the shutters on the back side of the building, so it was kind of similar to that. But I did try that, but it didn't look very good, actually. It's good having the 3D texture. Some people wanted me to have one of these hanging off at a jaunty angle, but essentially the clips that you'd use to do that, the sort of the single bar piece with a grabber on the end, doesn't actually fit these tile pieces. Or shutter pieces, so I'm not sure that's going to work very well. So anyway, I haven't bothered with having that hanging at a jaunty angle. Also, some people suggested a thicker walkway, but I'm trying to minimize the amount of space that I'm using with this facade, because remember, we're going to have two great big ships right up against the back of this, and to be honest, all this lower level detail will probably be really hard to see unless you really sort of peer and look for it. But there are some more that I'm going to do. A lot of people suggested stuff around this sort of top section, and one was to include a hook on one of our hoist sort of bits here, and I thought the best thing to do was do a very visible one, so I've chosen this red sort of vintage style hook, and I'm going to have that in a bit of official Lego string kind of mounted through the gap as it's supposed to be, and then I'll probably just pull off one of these bricks and have that string into about there, and then cut it off. So I'm going to do that in a minute, and then we can use the rest of the official Lego string for something else. But I want to get the height of it exactly right, and you'll see why I need to pause on that in a moment. So that's another great one. Thanks for that. Everyone's earning bedoings today. A real fest of that. Another thought, this was my one actually, was to actually try and incorporate this sign into this build. And you'll have to tell me what you think if I do it dead on. Do you think replacing this sort of Gubbins workings that was sort of bricked in at some point in the past with this advert is a good suggestion? Because I was thinking it really ties in with the dark turquoise colour, and I haven't managed to use either of these in this build so far, and I don't think I'll be putting one on this section either. So yeah, you can kind of imagine how that will look. So let me know what you think about that. It's a straight swap. I've just got some modified bricks on the back here to go into that exact spot. So yeah, it will remove some of the 3D texture, of course, that we have with this. So anyway, votes for that in the comments section. That's another one. No bedoing, because that was my idea. And then we've got one more, and these were all about this open window. So many different suggestions of what I should put in that, maybe some black bricks behind it or something like that, or more elaborate ideas. But the best of those was actually the reason for all of this security, all these chains, barbed wire and all the rest of it. It's because this building is a business that went bankrupt essentially, and that's why the building has gone derelict. It's for a reason. They just couldn't make a profit because they kept losing their fish. Very careless indeed, but they could never work out why it was happening. Basically, they tried everything: security guards, all this barbed wire and chains and so on, but they were always thwarted. So, they must have thought there's some serious thieves at work, but then that doesn't make any sense either, because it's only low value sardines that were going missing. So why would a high-end set of thieves go stealing useless fish? It just never made sense. So in the end, the business went bankrupt, and the SSP charged the owner with embezzlement, tax fraud, and insurance scamming, because they just couldn't prove out what it was. So you're now thinking, well, Robin, what was it? Was it cats? A gang of cats? Nope, it wasn't cats. They are too selfish for teamwork. It was, of course, dun dun dun, penguins. Yes, evil penguins. The same evil penguins that cleared out my fish transport wagon, if you remember that, on my cargo train, where I had so much fish stored in crates and stuff, and they ate every single one of them. They are like little fish dustbins. It's amazing how much fits in each one of these little critters. So I thought a gang of penguins would be a really good plan for this open area, and kind of a scene on the front. So the first part of that is getting a couple of penguins in a crate of fish, very bright colour in this yellow, so it really stands out, and obviously the silver colour of the fish with all the tails sticking up and so on. And just so the penguins are actually attached, they're kind of standing on telescope pieces, which you can't see with the fish in the way. And that just means that I can put that in and hanging out of this top window. Haha, so there is my scene, a very fun and full window now. But to make that even better, I'm going to use the hook hanging off the hoist, as we said, down to about here. And on the hook, I'm going to have a official Lego piece of netting. And I've clamped all four corners kind of together using Lego chain, just like the one that I used on the doorway here. And that can go on the hook. And in the sort of cargo net, I'm going to have another big container of fish. And you can see there I've got the telescope piece with a penguin already on it. And then I'm going to absolutely cram, using my fish supply for the 20,000 bricks under the sea cabinet, the entire net full of fish. So that's what I'm going to do next, and show you how it looks. I think it'll be pretty good fun. Haha, here it is. And doesn't it look absolutely great? So there is our cargo net full of fish. up to the very top and kind of spilling out of all sides at once with a bit of motion, given it's free hanging on our red hook, with a penguin making sure it gets safely down. And I don't know if you like this one, you'll have to let me know, a sort of fourth penguin on lookout duty, but that hopefully will attract someone's eye in the Lego room and think, why is there a penguin there? Oh, there's more there. Oh, they're stealing fish. So that is basically a combination of about 4 ideas that different people had, and I really like it. So thanks so much for that. You always make my builds even better with your hilarious suggestions. So here is a bedoing for all of you. Right, so there is the amendments finished. You'll still have to let me know about that one. I kind of like it, but I also like that, so I'm really in two minds. But I think we're going to have to take this off temporarily and change the camera angle so we can focus on what we're going to be doing today. Okay, so I've taken off the net just to make sure it doesn't get in the way when we're building. And I did bring down the end of the pier from the Lego room, and that will just clip underneath that lip there because I measured it perfectly. So today we're basically going to go right from the edge of this one up to here with a building, and then have something over the top of that so we can allow small vehicles with a container on the back to get underneath it. And have space up here basically for, just a bit of a stretch, our lovely crane from that Toy Story set, the 7596 Trash Compactor Escape from 2010. So I think I want to have that up here, right up against the wall of the Lego room, which will show us it up really well with its shape, because although it's not doing very well against my black monitor, it's just all these lovely lines and the string and this grabber just look really good. So I want that sideways up here, and then given that this is going to be largely a space, I need to focus on this area here, and what I want to do there is use these lovely garage pieces in yellow and black alternating as a sort of, well, hazard type door. Now I could do it the conventional way like this, but that's going to be quite hard, well, especially if I want it to retract, but then I'm not that bothered about that, I suppose, that way. But I figure a much more interesting and novel way to use it would be on its side like this, and I think that looks really good. That's an idea that I've been trying to incorporate somewhere for absolutely ages, because it is part of a Space Police set, 5985 Space Police Central from 2010, where it makes up part of that base, and I just really like that vertical striping, and that's mounted using the normal 1x14 garage door bricks, where you can kind of usually pull the door up into its horizontal position where it's been retracted, and those same pieces we're going to use on studs on the side, one at the bottom holding all of those bits and one at the top holding all of those bits, so it can be held in place there. That's going to take most of the width of this bit. Then we can have a doorway so people can get into that area from the pier, and then we can have something along there as well. And I do want to use some interesting roof pieces that will have skylights in as well. But to fit all of that in, the first thing I'm going to do is extend the base out by 2 more studs so it's in more of a line with here, and it will hit the pier a little further up. So that's where I'm going to start, and then we can get building, well, that studs on the side build. Well, to get this 6 deep, I actually had to lift half of this side of the thing on, and then obviously the whole facade fell down flat on its face. So at least I took the netting bit off, because I had to reconstruct it, but it'll be quite secure when it's leaning against the wall, but at the moment it is quite rickety. Anyway, you can see on the inside I've got a door basically going onto that same sort of area, and I've brought this all out 2 studs and been able to move this slightly more to the left, and I've got this cutaway little section here before having a step, and that's because this pier bit is going to basically slide into that gap, and that can push down. So this is a step from another door, which I'll put right here, kind of the mirror of that. That'll have a step going down onto there, and that will be our slightly reduced passageway out. And yeah, you'll have to take care when you go out that door, because you might get run over otherwise. Anyway, I'm going to have a very small bit of blue and grey when I install this, kind of to go underneath that lip, so it looks like it continues on a bit, kind of like that, if you see what I mean. but that won't actually be attached. So we'll get that put in later. Cool, right, so we're trying to get this door... Ooh, SSP again. Phew, they've gone by. Yeah, so we're trying to get this door on its side, so it looks like that, and I think that's going to be really good. And it will look like it will slide all the way along and allow access to a ship, or maybe it's out of use now, but it's definitely an interesting kind of texture and colour combination, I think you'll agree. So, how am I going to attach that? Well, I'm going to use some of these really old bracket pieces. I've only got one in new grey and one in old grey, but quite frankly, I don't think you're going to be able to see when I put them on there like that to support one of those 1x14 bricks I was talking about with that slide on. So that will go in there like that. And just to decorate it even more, my second favourite tile type, these stripy ones. I've got two 1x4 ones and a 1x2 one. They were donated to the channel very generously, so that's looking really good. Obviously my favourite type of tile is the tread plate stickers. I've got one of on the step, another one of these ones that are 6 long. Very nice indeed. So yeah, that is there, so that means that will go kind of into this space like this. Ugh, very delicate at the moment. So to pin that in place, I'm going to have the other one of those 1x14s and then more bricks on the side. Well, it's plates going vertically up with another section of stripes there that can connect onto here. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this on camera, or will I? Actually, that's gone quite well. Whoop. Yep, something just popped, which is the bit to stop it going off the rails. And there we go. Actually, I thought that'd be a lot harder, but it's worked rather well. So I need to plug in that bit of wall there. I'm just going to use some basic grey bricks, maybe a bit of lighting for the access way. Put that in there, pin that in with some more grey bricks like that. That's one side done. So it's not very full of features as such, but the one feature that it is full of is just so bold. And I quite like having these rough studs on. I thought about tiling them, but it kind of looks better having some roughness to sort of represent the very industrial nature of this build. And then the whole wall on the other side matches the same sort of pattern with another green door, and that's the one that can open to the disadvantage of the pedestrian on this side over here. So there we go. And then I'm just going to have a 1x14 or 2x14 plate rather in here, just resting on top of that. It won't actually be connected vertically, but then it will be connected to both side walls, and we'll kind of pin this in. I mean, it's quite sturdy already. You can see it probably wouldn't take excessive play, but you know, it's going to be pretty static where it is. So that is the main body of the build. Then on the other side of this gantry, I'm going to do this. And essentially it's exactly the same build as that bit there, tying the whole lot together, because the original set had 2 of these in, so I only used one, had one spare. And there are only 2 studs here to connect to on this side of the pier, but I think when it's all pinned in place from the top, I think that'll work rather well. So there we go. So I need to level out the bricks here. I need to get a roof going, and then we need to be able to mount our crane up here. I think it's going to look absolutely great. I just love this door. I'm so glad I finally used it. Right, so as for the roof, these are the 2 that I think I'm going to use. And that's the main reason why I brought it out from the wall, because if we had only 4 studs, then, well, we'd only be able to use one of these, and it's not really wide enough for both if we're going to have the crane on the roof. So I thought if I brought it out to 6 studs, then had this bricks on the side bit, kind of bringing it almost out another one, so it's 7 studs, then we could have a 1 stud overhang of a roof and have it, well, kind of like that. The fact that this is trans dark blue is a bit of a mix of colour schemes, but that's why I've kept the roof, rather the walls and the rest of the roof so plain. So yeah, so I need to build a structure around that to kind of cover there, and then essentially this bit, well, I think I'll just use Technic beams because they have the added advantage of, well, looking kind of like girders, big steel girders, don't they? So if I join that side to this with one of those, and then the other side over, I don't know, how many should we have in the middle? 4 studs, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, have it right up against the back, fill in some of these gaps. Then I think that'll be a good mounting point for the crane. And I think, we'll have to check when we get back to the Lego room, that's going to be enough space for our truck to pass underneath. Well, I'm loving this build more and more as I keep going. It's absolutely amazing what we did before with the scene. That's even better, the tanker source and so on. But this door on its side, I love. And you'll see now I've added a roof with those lovely roof pieces. They fit really well with some 1x2 45-degree slopes. And I've added a modified brick here just so we can put on a sign. We've already used a Carl's Cargo sign before on a different warehouse, one of the small builds on the very back wall, but I figure maybe it's a business with more than one location because that fits really well. That's from the 8198 ramp crash set from 2010 if you're interested. So yeah, that's another nice bit of interest. Then above the door I had a jumper plate which you can barely see, and I'm just going to add sort of an old school ceramic light over the door there. And that's a scene that you'll probably never see again when it's in the Lego room because it'll be facing kind of like that towards the wall. You might be able to see it from a long distance away if you really lean. But that's the story with everywhere in my city, isn't it, really? Cool, so all that really needs to be added now is that crane, and I've taken off the round black plates that were 8 deep just because, well, they'd interfere with the wall. Basically, I've only got 6 studs to play with, so I've just swapped them for some of these that I've got plenty of from my deep sea cabinet, but I can't have that just mounted on there because it's not high enough, and well, that's all bashing into that. So what I really need to do is raise it up. So I've got 2 more of them, this time in old dark grey, just to mix it up and make it look even more old. And I figure this crane would sort of slide along, or would have done back in the day, these 2 runners. So I'm going to have it slightly overhanging this far side, I think. So it's like that. And then we need some bricks and a turntable to heighten it up. And this is one of the really old turntable pieces that was also a contribution to the channel. So thanks again for that. If that was you, you know who you are. That can go on there. And then hopefully now we are high enough. Let's get the angle right. Should have done it the other way around, really. Gonna have real trouble marrying this up now, aren't I? Oh, there we go. That should go about there. And I don't think I'll put crew person in because essentially it's not in current use. But that right against the wall, hey, should look really good, and that's just got enough room for a bit of dangling motion as well. Oh yes, combination of yellow tying that to that. I love the dark green, bit of blue for the sign, not too bad a mix of colours, but I think that that's going to look even better against the wall when we've got the outline of that crane, the outline of these girders. This bit repeating I think is a really good feature, but my favourite just has to be that vertical use of the garage door. Thanks so much to that Space Police set for the idea and inspiration for that. So there we go. All that remains now is for me to add our penguin, number 4, to his hoist on the hook, and then, well, put the whole lot into the Lego room. But yeah, that is very cool. Ho ho ho, gotta love it when a plan comes together. Don't worry about the top of the building. I took that off deliberately for installation. Had to remove a couple of pieces that were just holding together, well, the base plates and so on, in order to get this in. But it's clipped in at the far side with the new crane against the wall. That's in, that's in, that's in, all pushed down, and it's looking pretty good. I need to get the full scene in, but yeah, I really like it already. I've tested the truck. It can get under there by the absolute skin of its teeth. I love the fact that you can still see our rubber duckies in that gap there. That's very visible, so that worked. Arguably this crane is now a bit near to that crane, but maybe they just didn't get round to demolishing the old one. I don't mind because, as you know, I love it packed and stacked. So yeah, let's get the rest of the build on. The penguins installed and so on, and then we can really give it a good look. Oh, it's everything I hoped it would be. Absolutely love it. There's just so much detail and interesting features packed into that area. And as I thought, it looks great against the wall, even better, starting at the top. Oh, with that sardine can sign that inspired the whole thing after all. Looks absolutely great. We can see all our penguins very well. Lookout penguin, the main penguins there, and the one on the cargo net on its way down. I've pushed the ships back into their sort of position, into their berths, but kept a little bit of distance from the back just so we can peer down and see those sliding doors on the bottom of that one, or Carl's cargo, the yellow and black, and of course the tank in the middle. And that crane looks great. Still see the duckies. Oh, packed and stacked, just the way we like it. I'm so happy with that. And, you know, from higher up, you can see all the walkways and the doors and everything. And you can really peer into all of that detail. I don't think it needs that extra advert on it now I think about it. Anyway, how's it look from the main standing hole? Well, it looks great from here as well. The silhouettes against the wall look really great. The colours really pop, those green doors that you can still see even behind the penguins. And that penguin scene is visible from a distance as well. So I absolutely love that. I mean, that was one of the weaknesses of the refrigerated wagon on the cargo train, is that although it was a really fun scene, it's quite hard to actually see and you really need to open the doors to enjoy it fully. But yeah, that is very cool indeed. Still love that dark green of that crane. Anyway, as always, tell me what you think. Do you like my second build next to the sardine factory? What do you think should be in it? Any more stuff out the front? Basically, I've got loads of seagulls and containers all over my harbour already, so it didn't really need too much decorating. But anyway, as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. Do check out the links in the description below. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, I don't know what I'll be doing actually. In fact, I've got a pretty busy weekend, so we'll have to see what I can rustle up. But whatever we get up to, I'm sure it'll be great fun. So until then, see you! Oh yes, that has added to my skyline.